And it looks like it's recording. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam. And my lovely friend over there is
Alyssa.
And we wanted to start off with our intro recording today. We've already recorded another discussion, but it was pretty unstructured and we didn't do proper intro, so we thought we'd try it out today. So, yeah. Alyssa, do you want to start
Sure.
talking about yourself?
All right, I'll talk about myself. As you already know, I'm Alyssa. I live in Montreal, Canada. And if you don't already know, this channel is about ADHD. So I was diagnosed with ADHD. Gosh, I'm so bad with dates. I think it's been like 2 years now, year and a half. Yeah, something like that. I was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD, comorbid anxiety. What about you, Sam?
Well, I was diagnosed with a lot of things before I was diagnosed with ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD just over 3 years ago, but it was sort of a long time in the making to get up to that diagnosis. I have also been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and OCD. I have combination ADHD, which means I'm inattentive and hyperactive.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but for those of you that don't know, there's 3 subtypes of ADHD. So there's ADHD, there's combined, and combined is hyperactive and inattentive.
And then there's inattentive purely and hyperactive. Thanks, Alyssa. So yeah, as soon as I got diagnosed and started getting treated for my ADHD, I realized that ADHD was basically my primary diagnosis, and that it's not necessarily that I wasn't depressed or anxious, but that once my ADHD became properly treated and managed, that those became far less of an issue, to the point that I don't know that I would be diagnosable with either of those anymore.
Wow.
OCD is still there. And as I've mentioned to Alyssa before, I think that they're often comorbid, and I can see exactly how they like play off one another. So, yeah.
Wow. I can actually relate to being diagnosed with anxiety before my ADHD, and now that my anxiety is quite under control, I can't even imagine like just what it would be like if I went back to how bad my anxiety was before. So basically it was like my ADHD caused my anxiety, and then my anxiety masked my ADHD because I was able to cope as a normal person because my anxiety just made up for everything that my ADHD lacked.
In what way was that?
So like example, one of the symptoms, like the list of symptoms that if you go online and read the list of symptoms of someone with ADHD. So poor attention to detail is a common one that you'll see for ADHD. Well, my anxiety made me pay super close attention to detail because I wanted it. I mean, there's also some perfectionism in there, but I wanted it to I wanted to do well. So then I would look it over like 5 times to make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, my ADHD, I would skip over things, but then my anxiety would be like, okay, well then go look over it again. Go look over it again. Go look over it again.
Trying to sort of like almost overcompensate.
Yeah, and it's exhausting. Yeah.
ADHD is exhausting. untreated, undiagnosed ADHD is the most exhausting.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, Alyssa said she's in Montreal. I live on the east coast of the US. And Alyssa and I met in a training course last year. We are both now, I guess you could call us professionals in the ADHD field.
Ooh. We are professionals. That
So
sounds
professional.
nice. But yeah, so we actually got to meet in person at the ADHD conference last year in November. And fingers crossed, Sam is coming to visit this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I need to buy my ticket.
Hopefully.
That is definitely a thing that is impacted by my ADHD. Like, I often will put off booking until the last minute. In this case, I have to wait for someone else, so it's not all my ADHD, but still. Yeah, I guess I used to overcompensate in some ways by planning everything really far in advance, and that was an issue because if my schedule ever like deviated from everything I had planned out perfectly, everything fell apart. So now I try to plan in advance, but not like, I try to remember that it's important to have flexibility and to build in extra time, which is not something I did before.
Ooh, I like that. Build in extra time.
Yeah.
I started to do that a little bit too. Like I'll be like, okay, well, you have to leave at 7:45 for sure. So tell yourself that you have to leave at 7:40, and then you'll actually be in the car by 7:45.
So that actually works for you. For me, it doesn't. I'll tell myself, oh, I have to, do the 7:40 trick. But then my brain's like, oh, but that's not actually real. So we'll actually be in the car by 7:45. And then I wind up in the car, if I'm lucky, 5 minutes after that, sometimes 15 minutes after that.
So I forget.
What?
I forget. Like, I forget what time is the real time. So it works. I guess there's a pro of ADHD and working memory. But yeah, I usually just set my timer, and that's my time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Sam and I thought that it would be fun if we ended this by asking each other a question each. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I don't know.
Decisions. Pardon?
Yeah, decisions. I guess I would like to start by asking you a question, if that's all right, Alyssa.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I am curious about what are your passions in life? What makes you feel excited?
And this is it's gonna sound very vague, but I love that time when my phone is not nearby, my laptop is not nearby, and I'm focused on an activity. So like lately I've been into making cards. And if I'm like alone, I know I'm not going to be bothered. Nothing is ringing. And I can just focus on that card and just like have fun with it and be creative and really give myself the time to make that card. I love it. And same thing for like just being outside. Like I love sitting in the grass or going on a hike. And there's a theme there, which is no phones. Nobody that's like sitting beside me like, hey, do this for me, hey, blah blah blah, and you have to answer their messages and you have to remember things. And that's not to say that I don't love my phone and stuff, because we wouldn't be talking right now if it wasn't for technology, so I am super grateful. But I just noticed like I'm really in my element, and I'm truly, truly happy when I'm detached.
That's interesting. It sounds to me like maybe those are circumstances in which you find yourself able to be like really present in that particular moment.
Yeah, like I don't need the distraction of my phone. Yeah.
Cool.
So my question for you is, what was the biggest change for you when you were diagnosed?
Yeah, what a question. I would say a sense of relief. And that is because I knew that, I didn't intellectually know, but I really felt like there was something else going on with me that wasn't explained by my other diagnoses. And I felt like a misfit basically my entire life. And I didn't know why. And once I got my diagnosis and started to really understand the different ways that ADHD impacts every aspect of our lives, I was like, this is it. This is not what I've been looking for my whole life. That sounds strange, but this is the missing piece. And it was when I realized that I was like, I experienced a sense of relief that like I didn't need to fix myself. That I think I had this idea before, if I just work hard enough, if I just like apply myself enough, if I do this, that, or the other thing, then I won't be like this anymore. And I'll like unbreak myself basically. But I think getting the ADHD diagnosis, which like explained so much of how my brain worked and how I related to the world, I was like, yeah, this is a condition I have. There are things I can do to make life easier for myself, but I have it, and it's not something that is going to be curable. And that is cool. That is fine with me. It was the missing piece to like self-acceptance for me, basically. And that is not something I really ever experienced before my diagnosis.
I can so relate to every single thing that you just said. Particularly, I really like the part how you said like fixing yourself. That's such a dangerous word. Fix. Why do you have to fix anything? It's more like accepting. And I totally remember saying to my sister, I was like, I don't feel like I belong on this planet. Which of course like totally freaked her out, but like that's not what I meant. It was like I don't fit into this little box. I don't fit into this little box that I feel like I'm supposed to fit in. And my diagnosis just was like, hey, I don't. Here's permission to not be in the box. Great.
Totally. Yeah. I definitely think that comparing myself to other people who seem to be able to do certain basic things just so easily, and I couldn't, no matter what, do things easily. It did make me feel like an alien.
And like just like trying so bad to fit into that box and to fit into what we think that we should be caused me to burn out, which is clearly not good. We overdo it, right? Trying to fit in.
Yeah. Overcompensate. I I thought it was really interesting the way you talked about your anxiety and how it was, it's essentially like a compensation technique that we can view as having like as being positive, but actually ultimately the long-term effects of that coping mechanism are like negative for us and do do lead to the burnout that you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, we're never good enough. We always have to do more and be more. And we're living up to other people's expectations rather than whatever we want. And there's so much.
There is so much. Yeah. I made a joke, I think before we started the recording about, it wasn't really a joke. It was funny, or I thought it was funny. But basically how like everything's ADHD.
Yeah.
And by that, it's just that ADHD is not just about attention. It certainly isn't about a lack of attention. It's a self-regulation condition where we don't have the sort of natural ability to regulate ourselves in the way that neurotypical people do. And that means that every aspect of our lives is impacted by ADHD. And I think something that is a big reason why people are misdiagnosed or diagnosed so late, is that it will impact them largely in certain areas of their life that people don't think that ADHD can impact. For example, romantic relationships.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm just going to drop executive functions. If you have not heard executive functions before, it's basically what Sam was just talking about. Go look them up. We'll probably talk about them one day. Send us a message if you're really lost. But it's a big word for us.
We will definitely talk ad nauseum about executive function.
Yes, we will. You can look forward to that.
I promise it sounds less exciting than it will be. It will be more exciting than it sounds, brother.
Yes, or we will make it more exciting than it sounds. All right, so I think that was a pretty good intro.
Alyssa, what are you tossing around?
Oh, sorry. It's my football.
I thought it was an American football. I was like, did I imagine that?
Yeah, no, it's a football. It's the best. It's like weighted, it's squishy. It's just like good for stress and tossing and fidgeting and being. Yeah.
It's good for everything. Cool. I need one of those. I mean, not necessarily football, but yeah, I don't have any sort of fidget toys or whatever they're called. So
yeah, I was at I wasn't sure if it was a good thing for me or not. Sometimes they can be distracting, but I like it.
I like it too.
By the way, guys, Sam has a theory that I'm actually combined ADHD, not inattentive.
I do.
Just throwing it out there.
Throwing it out there.
Wait, we should probably end this here.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
All right, so it was fun introducing ourselves. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, our email is going to be in the description. And I think we're going to even start an Instagram page.
We are. Cool. I'm glad.
Wait, oh God, I couldn't remember if this was a thought or if we discussed this or what, but
I mean, the thing is like, we very well could have discussed it and I just don't remember.
Right.
So,
yeah. And
whatever the case, it sounds like a good idea. Let's do it.
All right. So follow us on our Instagram, send us an email, do whatever it is that you would like. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.